Welcome back to Blueprints and Blanket Forts. I am Sophie.
And I'm Asher. We're so glad you guys can come back and enjoy another conversation that we're about to have together. And today, Sophie, I have a question for you. What do you think the hardest part about buying a house is?
It's so expensive.
It's very expensive. That was a good answer. Now, why is that a problem, do you think?
Because some people don't have enough.
Exactly. So we're near Phoenix, Arizona. How much do you think a normal house costs here?
$200,000.
$200,000? I wish. Would you believe me if I told you that it's double that? To get a house that's about 3 bedroom, 2 bath, you're probably looking at $400,000. It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
How many stuffies do you think you can buy with that?
500.
500? You think 500 stuffies would cost $400,000?
Probably more than that.
I bet you can get a lot more than that, but that was a good guess, right? But it's hard for people, especially you work, you still have bills, you have all these things. Who has $400,000? I don't have $400,000. Do you have $400,000?
Not even close.
So who do you think has money to buy houses?
The bank?
The bank. And that's exactly where I come in. So you might not have $400,000, but you might have some money, right? Let's say a $400,000 house. How much money do you think? Just take a guess.
$300,000.
So you think to buy a $400,000 house, you need $300,000? It's a great guess. Thankfully, you're wrong, but in a good way. You know why?
Why?
Do you have $300,000 in the bank? Most people don't. We definitely don't. What if I was to tell you you could buy it for $40,000?
That'd be way better.
It's way better. What if I told you you could buy it for $20,000?
Way, way, way better.
Why is that way, way, way better?
Because it's less expensive.
Less expensive. Is it still a lot of money?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money. What if I told you you could even buy for less than that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. I agree with you. But you can. We have some types of loans, and I know you don't really know the different types of loans, but we have some types of loans. You know how much you need to bring for a down payment on a house? How much cash you would need to bring?
Just $1?
Less.
1 cent?
Less.
No money?
No money. We have some loan products that require no money for a down payment. Now, that's not true for everyone, but it is very true. You know Uncle Brian?
Mm-hmm.
What does Uncle Brian do?
He's in the Air Force.
He's in the Air Force. What about Uncle?
He's in the Air Force.
He used to be in the Air Force, right? So they can get that type of loan. It's called a VA loan. It's for military people. They can go and buy a home, most likely with no money down, right? They just say, I want that house. And because they served in our military, it's something that could be provided to them. Isn't that amazing that they can do that with zero money?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not in the military. So what I usually tell people is to bring 5%. If you can bring 5%, that's really good. You can go lower, 3%, but 5% is usually what you want to do, or at least aim for. Have you guys been doing percentages yet in school?
No.
So yeah, I know you might not be doing a lot of percentages yet, but do you know what a percent is?
A part of a whole?
It's part of a whole, right? So if I want 1%, it's 1 over
100?
100. So you do know, you silly goose. This girl is in 3rd grade, but she's almost done with 4th grade math. When I tell you she's smart, I'm not just making that up. But anyway, so if I say 5%, do you happen to know the easy way to figure that out?
5 times what will be?
Well, it would be 5 over 100, right? That's still kind of tricky. What's an easy number you guys talked about in math that's really easy to multiply by and divide by?
5?
5? What's even easier than 5?
10?
10. Why is that so easy?
Because it's like 1, 2, it's like counting the 10, but then you just add a 0 after.
Exactly. When you multiply by 10, you add a 0 to the end. When you divide by 10, you get rid of a 0. So let's say 10%. Do you know what 10% of 400,000 is?
40?
It's going to be
100,000?
not 40,000 is going to be?
Oh, 40,000.
It's going to be 40,000, right? Now, that's 10%. If I know 10% is 40,000, what's an easy way to find 5%? What do I divide to get?
2?
Divide by 2, cut it in half. So what's half of 40,000?
20,000.
Bingo. Told you she was smart. So, to buy a $400,000 house, I would tell you, hey Sophie, you might not have $40,000 in the bank, but if you have 20,000, we can get that house. It's not too bad, right? Now, 20,000 is still a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I'm not going to pretend it's not. But is it easy to get to 20,000 versus 400,000? Mm-hmm. It is. And that's kind of what my job is. Just like I told you though, some people, how much can they buy a house with?
No money.
Yeah. Some people like Uncle Brian and Uncle Paul, they can buy a home without putting any money down towards it because they're veterans. They work in the military. People that aren't, you can buy as little as 3%, but I like to tell people
5%.
5%. It's a better way to go. And I'll tell you why later, but that's kind of what it costs to buy a house. Was that kind of interesting? Mm-hmm. What's your key takeaway?
That I didn't know veterans could get a house with no money.
You can get a house with no money as a veteran. And then what about how much houses cost? Was that kind of surprising to know that they are as expensive? And what if I was to tell you some houses are millions of dollars here? That's wild, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad I could teach you a little bit something about how much homes cost and how much do you actually need, and in some cases no money at all, to potentially buy a house, right? Which is
no money.
No money if you're a
veteran.
If you're a veteran, or if you're not a veteran, what do you recommend to people?
3%.
3% or
5%.
5%. Very good, big girl. High five. All right, finish us off.
And that was the end of episode 2 on blueprints and blanket forts.
See you guys next time.
Bye.